You know, I sat here for a good hour, trying to bring myself to care about recording this show today. Not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. I'm going to power through it the best that I can. I don't know if I am wrestled out. I may very well be wrestled out. And the shitty thing is, man, I feel wrestled out, and it's Wrestlemania season. Wrestlemania season is supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to be just the one time out of the year where we expect or should be getting good television. And we're not. We're not getting anywhere close to good television. Don't listen to the naysayers out there that say Monday Night Raw has been consistently good. It hasn't. Don't listen to the people that say Smackdown every week is an 8 out of 10. I don't know what they're watching, but they deserve 8 out of 10 fucking slaps to the face if they think that. Now, I'm sitting here on a Thursday, and it's 8:38 p.m., and I know this will be a 2-hour show because the Friday shows here on Off the Script are usually around 2 hours or close to 2 hours. And I know Smackdown is coming up. By the way, it's an Elimination Chamber weekend. I'm not sure if you guys realize that. Do you even know what's happening on the pay-per-view? I don't. I don't really care either. All I know is that there is an Elimination Chamber match with the Raw women that shouldn't even be happening. It doesn't even feel like WrestleMania season. And then WWE is so inept on booking storylines that matter, talent that should be booked, that they resort to pushing legends and old-timers, and they try and get by with whoever is alive and breathing that used to be a moneymaker back when we were in high school. I'm looking at the reports, and I wanted to see if there was any last-minute news and rumors so I could incorporate some more into the podcast this weekend. And I come across this news article for Smackdown tonight, emanating from Buffalo, New York. Now, A, fuck Buffalo, okay? B, I am ashamed that Smackdown is in any part of New York. I don't care if it's Buffalo, Albany, Syracuse, the Bronx, Long Island, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Manhattan. I don't care where it's emanating from. Having Smackdown, which is the worst show in the industry at this moment, in New York, makes me feel ashamed. Seriously. So I'm looking at the news, and I am very close to just canceling the Smackdown review tonight. I really am. I really am. Folks, if you thought last week was bad, look at this shit. Smackdown will take place from the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. Smackdown has announced Lacey Evans and Naomi. One-on-one? No. Of course not. Lacey Evans and Naomi versus Bayley and Sasha Banks. Now, I sometimes am a very forgetful individual. But did my buddy Bruce fall asleep during last week's Smackdown? He must have, because we're getting the same match that we got last week, this week. Who cared about it then? Who cared about it then when Sasha was in Boston, her hometown? Did she bring boss time to Boston? Now she's going to bring boss time to Buffalo, and I don't care. I think I seen one too many Lacey Evans botches on Smackdown, and this is the woman that Vince wants to make the women's champion. Again, we have a pay-per-view on Sunday, and Lacey Evans did say that she was going to run through 5 other women in the Elimination Chamber, which has yet to be announced for the Smackdown brand. I don't know if WWE had her go out there and say that because they were in the works as far as plans go for an Elimination Chamber, or if they just canceled it, knowing that maybe 3 Elimination Chambers is 1 too many. It's 3 too many if you ask me this year. Bruce fell asleep. He missed this exciting and enthralling matchup last week. Firefly Funhouse, which at this point I could care 0 shits about. Firefly Funhouse returns with Bray addressing his WrestleMania challenge to John Cena. Now, what good is the Firefly Funhouse when the Universal Championship was the number 1 possession in his toy chest coming out of the Firefly Funhouse? What makes you think I'm going to care about this match when Bray and John Cena are wrestling over nothing? Wrestling over nothing. You see, folks, and we'll go over it, I'm sure, this weekend because Goldberg has made some idiotic comments in regards to him winning the Universal Championship. He thinks the people complaining about his win over Bray Wyatt are the minority. The majority has spoken, and this WrestleMania is shaping up to be fucking god-awful. And Goldberg is at the head of the fucking class when it comes to that opinion. Who gives a shit about Bray getting his win back over John Cena? Bray, going into WrestleMania as the champion, was going to be John Cena's superior. Now, with a loss to Goldberg, he's walking into WrestleMania as John Cena's inferior. Nobody understands this. It was now or never with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Don't you see that Bray Wyatt was a champion going in? He got fucked. WrestleMania is certainly not for him. He lost to Randy Orton in one of the worst WWE Championship matches at WrestleMania ever a couple of years back when he should have held that championship all that year. Should Bray Wyatt have held that championship? And then he can't even make it into WrestleMania this year to defend the fucking title against the one guy that I was genuinely interested in facing, Bray Wyatt. Couldn't do that. What good is the Funhouse if it's not with the WWE Universal Championship? Couldn't give a shit. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode versus Heavy Machinery versus the Lucha House Party versus the Usos versus the Miz and Morrison versus the New Day in a gauntlet match. There you go. WWE so lazy to book a Smackdown worth anything. They were like, well, I got no plans for this show. Or Bruce was like, I got no plans for this show, Vince. Let's go to the gauntlet match. It's great. 45 minutes of television that's, I'm sure, will be forgotten by the time you lay your head down to rest in the evening. So the winner of this Elimination Chamber match will enter their Elimination Chamber match, or this gauntlet match, will enter the Elimination Chamber match last on Sunday. Great. I didn't give a shit about any of these teams going in. I'm going to give a shit about who comes out fucking last, first, third, fourth, third. Who gives a shit? Second? Who cares? Who cares? It's over the tag team titles. Tag team titles that are worthless in this company. Please try again, Vince McMahon. Please try again. Tag team wrestling blows in WWE. On the main roster. NXT excluded. And then, folks, what has been the MO of WWE for WrestleMania season after WrestleMania season after WrestleMania season every single year? This is what pissed me off the most looking at the news before I hit the record button. Alexa Bliss. No, she ain't wrestling for any championships or she ain't in a high-profile match, but Alexa Bliss will appear on A Moment of Bliss, as usual, and she will have X-Pac, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash as her guests on A Moment of Piss. Now, why is the NWO minus Hogan going to be on A Moment of Bliss? I don't know. I don't really know. Are they there to shill themselves because of their Hall of Fame induction? Who could possibly give a shit about their Hall of Fame induction? Like, who cares? Like, who genuinely gives a shit that the NWO is going into the Hall of Fame? I doubt they're there to talk primarily about that. I am certain that they shill these guys onto SmackDown this week to get over the fact that Goldberg needed to beat Bray Wyatt. I'm sure that they're there because WWE is going to further justify Bill Goldberg being the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania, how he dominated the Fiend, and they're going to put him over. Put him over as champion going into WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. That's why they're there. They're rolling out the legends. They're rolling out people that used to make money back when I was in high school. Further pushing the current talent, the current crop of talent to the back to roll out these guys during WrestleMania season. Look at this show. This is the same cast of characters that we see every single week. What is different about this show that I did not see last week? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The NWO appearing on weekly WWE TV is absolutely disgraceful. It really is. And they want to, and it's said that this is the only way that they could maintain any type of momentum via the ratings. This is the lack of faith that they have in their current crop of talent. Absolutely disgraceful. SmackDown is absolutely the worst wrestling program, may very well be in the history of the business at this moment. This show sucks. This WrestleMania season sucks. I don't even feel like I'm in WrestleMania season. I don't even feel like there's a fucking pay-per-view on Sunday night. I'm sick to my stomach, man. I really am. This company is absolutely, right now, I know I've mentioned it, 2018, 2019 being the worst creative, or the worst that this company has been creatively. They may top themselves this year. With that Bray Wyatt loss to Bill Goldberg in Saudi Arabia, they may have already topped themselves this year. How much worse could it get? Awful. So look forward to that. I'm sure I'll be just watching the show with my smile on, grinning from ear to ear because I'm excited to see Kevin Nash on SmackDown. Give me a fucking break. You guys are excited to see Off the Script in your sub boxes. Hopefully, it's in your sub boxes, and hopefully you're excited to see Off the Script. Anyway, this is episode 316, part number 1, to start your Elimination Chamber weekend, Friday, March 6th, 2020. I am JD. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon. I'll be on the channel again tonight. SmackDown review, as always, every single week. Dangerously close from just saying fuck it this week. But what can I do, man? What can I do? The more I rant, the more the show gets worse. Maybe I should just start singing its praises, and then maybe it'll be the opposite way. I don't know anymore. I'm desperate to have this show just mean something. It's so bad. But I got a lot lined up for you guys today. We got WrestleMania news on tap for Saturday. So all the WrestleMania news that came out of various sources is going to be compiled onto Saturday's video. What I got for you is what I've been doing. We're going to go over all the major news coming out of SmackDown last week, out of Raw. And my God, was Raw terrible. You talk about SmackDown being terrible. Oh my goodness, man. I feel like I need to rant again on Monday Night Raw. And I know a lot of you guys actually watched my Monday Night Raw review. And you know how I feel. So for those that did not watch it, I will be reiterating some of my key points from that podcast on Monday night. But the big thing that we found out coming out of Monday Night Raw is that Vince McMahon had ripped up the script right before Raw went on the air. So if you guys were wondering why it looked so good on paper, and then the show ended up being a complete dumpster fire, Vince McMahon tore up the Raw script right before the show. So look at that. Why was Raw on, I would say, a nice little string of momentum for itself? Because Vince McMahon wasn't there. Now, Vince McMahon was in Brooklyn, and I'm assuming he would have been anyway, because Stamford to New York City is what? It's not that long of a drive. Shane lives in Manhattan. WWE is located. It is a New York-based company. So, of course, Vince McMahon was going to be there. It was a short limo ride for him to come on into Brooklyn. So he got there early. And then he ended up ripping up the Raw script right before the show. It's amazing how the show was actually passable. I don't even want to say good. Passable, watchable for the last couple of weeks. Vince McMahon is there and right back to being dog shit, as always. What's the key difference here, folks? Paul Heyman was in charge when Vince McMahon wasn't there. I'm sure he was taking orders from Vince, but Vince wasn't there to do things like that. And then Vince McMahon is there, and he's there. His physical presence is there, felt and seen by everybody. And what happens? What is the determining factor of this show being god-awful? Vince McMahon was there. If you don't think Vince McMahon needs to go, look no further. This is one of the primary reasons why Vince needs to go. He tore up the script. We'll rant about that. And also the fact that WWE and Vince McMahon has ultimately given up on Ricochet. Awful. Absolutely terrible situation coming out of Monday Night Raw. WWE, AJ Styles, Aleister Black, The Undertaker. Where are they going with that? I got news on WWE protecting AJ Styles. Asuka reportedly is not injured. What's going on with her? I got all the news on Asuka. And Shayna Baszler responds to fan criticism over her Raw match with Kairi Sane. Why is she criticizing the fans for what was a terrible match? We'll go over why it was fucking terrible. And it's not Shayna Baszler's fault. I'm letting you and her know right now it was not her fault. Where's Lana? Where's Bobby Lashley? Where's Rusev? Where's Liv Morgan? Where's the wedding fallout? What happened to the lesbian storyline that was supposed to be on Monday Night Raw? WWE totally abandons it. Why? I got the answers for you, including the NXT AEW ratings. NXT took another thrashing from All Elite Wrestling. And MJF gives a 7-year-old the middle finger. And the dad of said child complains about it on social media to gain some sort of social media clout and some freebies from All Elite Wrestling because he knew he could do it and he got away with it. And I'm here to tell you that this father of this 7-year-old child is a complete fucking clown. And I don't blame MJF at all in this situation. And we're going to go over why right here on Off the Script. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the podcast, episode 316, part number 1. Brought to you today by my good friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Make sure you guys check them out. Link is down in the description below. It is the best for your below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped.com is sponsoring the show today. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and the good old IG. Make sure you guys do both. If you missed any of my content this week, we had a great week. Subscribers are rising quickly, and I'm glad to see that, man. It's been rather dead because of the WWE product being dead, but it's WrestleMania season, and people are finding the channel, and I'm happy to see it. We are nearing 116,000 subscribers very rapidly, so thank you guys very much for that. If you missed my Monday Night Raw review, which is nearing 40,000 views in itself, awesome. Again, thank you for the support. That is linked down below in the description of this very video, along with the AEW, NXT, and some gaming content on the channel, man. I gotta shill myself. And I don't give a shit who's listening to me, or if you like it, or if you don't like it. Final Fantasy VII released a demo this week, and I played it. Once on live stream and then once again just off live stream by myself. It is phenomenal. I want to get used to the combat system. I'm glad the demo came out. It gives you a nice little glimpse into what is going on. Final Fantasy VII, I still have the old PS2 disc. I really do. It's at my mom's house. I think it's still in pristine condition. I remember when we went to the toy store. Toys R Us is where we bought most of our games. And I remember buying that. It was 4 discs. I think it was 4 discs. 3 or 4 discs, right? I was just so... I held on to it like I was a fucking little baby. You know, being a young kid. I seen this. I'm like, oh, man. I can't wait to dive into this. And I waited 23 years for a possible remake to Final Fantasy VII. And it came out. And I couldn't be more happy, man. I'm like super excited for April 10th. So much so that I actually went on Amazon after the stream was over and I bought the deluxe edition of the game off Amazon. And I'm getting a beautiful background for my PS4, Final Fantasy VII background, and I'm getting the soundtrack to the game, which, I mean, is worth the price of admission alone because it's the greatest soundtrack in the history of gaming. But I can't wait, man. If you guys want to check out what is possibly the greatest game of all time, and this will be the first game. And this is not just me speaking. A lot of people think that this is the case when it comes to this game. It will win best game of all time twice. The first one did it, and then it's going to do it again. It's unbelievable, man. If you guys want to go check it out, link is down below for my Final Fantasy VII remake demo walkthrough. Unbelievable stuff. I can't wait for April 10th. April's looking like a big month for gaming. You got Resident Evil 3 remake coming out, Final Fantasy VII remake. It's like all these new games are coming out. You got all these new games coming out, and the 2 games that we're looking forward to most are remakes of games that were made 20 years ago. Hey, I don't know what that says about the current state of gaming, but Jesus Christ. I mean, it's unbelievable how the 2 biggest games of the year are remakes of games made 20 years ago. It's unreal to me. Anyway, links are down in the description of this very video. And if you want to support the podcast via Patreon, you guys can certainly do that as well. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Guys, let's start with Smackdown. I'd rather not talk about Smackdown, but the ratings were up for the John Cena return in Boston, Massachusetts. The overnight ratings for Smackdown on Friday from Boston, Mass. at the TD Garden were 2.49 million viewers. So that is... Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was last week's show. That's what they usually get. But the average for this week was 2.717. That was up from the previous Friday, which was 2.490 million viewers. The first hour, the show pulled in 2.736 million viewers, and then hour 2 dropped to 2.697 million viewers. It also pulled in an average of a 0.80 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which was number 1 for the night. This is up from the 0.70 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic the show did the previous week. SmackDown was number 8 for the night among the networks in viewership, the same from last week's number 8 ranking. It was behind American Housewife 2020. Yes, American Housewife. I'm sure that is enthralling television. 2020. I got 2020 vision when it comes to this bullshit, and last week's show was god-awful. Hawaii 5-0, you guys know what I say. Send me to fucking Hawaii, away from Bruce. Magnum PI, Blue Bloods, The Blacklist. Bruce should be blacklisted from creatively writing this show. And Dateline NBC. I think we should get Bruce on Dateline. He's committed some crimes lately. Among the top shows on network television. Those are the top shows on network television. So that's that. It was awful. SmackDown was awful. I don't even remember what happened. I was so enraged. So enraged. The 2 things that stood out to me. Number 1, the entire Bill Goldberg and Roman Reigns thing. Roman had to do nothing. Nothing to get a world championship match at WrestleMania. By the way, I'm glad I brought this up. Okay. There are some people in the community, I will not be mentioning them by name because they don't deserve recognition from me. They don't deserve the clout. They don't deserve the notoriety because they are completely idiotic and their opinions are shit. There's a difference between opinion and stupidity, folks. When you want to give me your opinion, you are going to back it up with factual information that doesn't make you look like a fucking idiot. Then there's stupidity. Your opinion means nothing to me when it's in the realm of stupidity. That means you are saying something, but you're not really thinking about what you're telling me. Most of the community is in the realm of stupidity. Bill Goldberg won the Universal Championship from Bray Wyatt. We all know this. It's all over the news. It's the news. It's what's happening now. There's no way around it. There's no reason to complain about it anymore, even though we will. Roman Reigns. It was rumored that Roman was going to go one-on-one with Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania. And that's exactly what they did. WWE justified Bill Goldberg winning the Universal Championship by claiming that his picture on Instagram holding up the title after he beat Bray Wyatt at Super Showdown accumulated 850,000 views or likes on Instagram. WWE touted this statistic as it being the most liked photo on their Instagram ever. So, what are you telling me? A, it's bad enough that they're shilling this photo to justify their actions over a worldwide just shit creative decision. And everybody thought that, yet Bill Goldberg thinks that we complaining are in the minority. I think Bill Goldberg needs a lesson in fucking mathematics, motherfucker. First of all, it's bad enough that they shilled this fucking aging, old age home fucking pro wrestler, and I use that term loosely, out there to win the Universal Championship. It's another thing to shill the creative decision that should have never even been a thought. I was pissed off at them justifying their actions. Roman Reigns, by the way, 850,000 likes, that's WWE's fan base. That's WWE's core fan base. They may be getting 2.717 million viewers on Smackdown, so you would think that that photo is, I'm sure it's now in the millions, but look at how little people care about WWE's product. What do they got as far as Instagram followers? What, about 20 million maybe? 15 million? They always tout that they got more Instagram followers and Twitter followers and YouTube followers than ESPN and all these other big sports outlets, right? 850,000 is nothing. It's nothing. That is your core fan base. That is nothing. And how many of them, realistically, are bots? That's what I would love to know. Sure, if you go watch or go find some program on your PC and look at how many fucking fake accounts the actual WWE Twitter account has, you'll be mesmerized at how many fucking bots are following WWE's social media account on Twitter. How many of those likes were bots? Roman Reigns. He shows up, he says, I'm next, and poof. Poof. Like fucking Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Poof. Got a fucking world championship match at WrestleMania. Now, why did Drew McIntyre have to win the Royal Rumble to go get a title shot against Brock Lesnar? But Roman Reigns is just walking into WrestleMania with nothing. He's got nothing on his record that indicates he deserves a world championship opportunity at WrestleMania. If I'm Drew McIntyre, I'm pissed. WWE legitimately canceled an entire Elimination Chamber match for this guy. They're going to make us hate Roman Reigns all over again. WWE, you're succeeding. You're passing the test with flying colors at this point. You really are. Roman does nothing. Drew wins the Royal Rumble. I don't see how it's fair. And then people are telling me, oh, he had to give up the title. He had leukemia. Okay, great. He had leukemia. He had to give up the title. He deserves a title shot because he relinquished the title. Great. That's great. So I ask you in rebuttal, I refute him relinquishing the title as your excuse. If Roman Reigns relinquished the title, okay? If Roman Reigns relinquished the title, and he is now, a year and a half later, getting a said championship match for a title he relinquished, why didn't he make this a bigger issue when he came back? As soon as he beat Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, that should have been on his radar. Why didn't he go after the Universal title then? Why didn't he mention that he's back for the Universal Championship? You mean to tell me you want to use the excuse that now he deserves a title shot for giving up the title in October? Are you fucking serious? October of last year. Not the last year, the previous year. You have to be out of your fucking mind stupid if you're going to use that as an excuse. Give me a fucking break, bro. Honestly, that is a weak defense. And by the way, I'm sure everybody's looking at me. Why is he complaining about this? I love proving people wrong. Not only is that a glaring aspect in this thing, why didn't he make the fucking title his number one priority? Why? Now he wants to make his number one priority? Yes, Roman Reigns has been gifted this title shot, and he didn't make a word of it. He didn't make a big deal of it until now. Drew McIntyre wins the Royal Rumble. What has Roman Reigns done this WrestleMania season? He's feuded with Baron fucking Corbin for 7 months. So what WWE is trying to tell me is that beating Baron Corbin for 7 months, or in a feud with Baron Corbin for 7 months, ultimately beating Baron Corbin at the end of this feud, is more prestigious, or just as prestigious, as winning the Royal Rumble. Is that what you're telling me? This company's a joke. The Roman agenda is in full effect. WWE, you're not getting anything past me. Goldberg is a vilified pro wrestler, and I use that term loosely. I'm going to save some of my venom for tomorrow's show because Goldberg said we are in the minority when we want to complain about him winning the Universal Championship. Fact of the matter is he doesn't belong at WrestleMania. Fact of the matter is WrestleMania doesn't need Bill Goldberg. Fact of the matter is, how pathetic does WWE look that they are so desperate for ratings that they got to trot out Bill Goldberg in 2020. Give me a break. This is a Roman agenda coming full circle. Goldberg is vilified, and in Vince McMahon's demented mind, Roman Reigns is going to look like the superhero by taking down Goldberg, who beat the most over guy in the company, the number one merchandise seller in the company, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. That's what Vince McMahon thinks. But right before his very eyes, I know he's not going to give a shit about it because he's going to do what he wants anyway. He's going to get what he wants. He's going to get Roman as the champion, and he's going to get this match in the main event of WrestleMania. But before his very eyes, this is falling just down and crumbling right before him. It's laying at his feet right now. Roman Reigns and Goldberg is going to be universally shit on at WrestleMania. And everything you did with Roman Reigns, the goodwill that Roman Reigns has accumulated with some of the fan base that was against Roman Reigns. I honestly, at one point in the year, not this year, last year, I looked at Roman Reigns and I'm like, I don't really mind him on television. He was actually cooler than Seth Rollins was. That's how over Roman was to me. Oh, that's how bad Seth was. That's how bad Seth was, that I was actually preferring Roman over Seth. Now WWE is going to wash that all away. They're going to wash that all away. For what? Because Goldberg needed to win the Universal Championship? Fuck out of here, dude. What a shit creative decision. And then John Cena making his return. Did anybody listen to his promo? I know I am not the only one who complained about his promo. Salamonster complained about his promo as well. Me and him were on the same fucking page. I complained about it seconds after Smackdown went off the air. Guy comes out and says that WrestleMania spots or spots on WrestleMania need to be worked towards. And he wants to leave the WrestleMania card without John Cena this year. Great. That would have been the best decision that he ever made. That would have been excellent. Then he goes on to leave the show. Bray Wyatt comes out, and everything he said in the ring was absolutely a waste of time. WrestleMania titles, WrestleMania spots are to be worked towards. He doesn't want to take a spot away from the young talent. I love the future. I'm thinking about the future. WrestleMania doesn't need John Cena this year. This is not goodbye. It's just a see you later. Okay. Then Bray Wyatt shows up on stage. He points to the WrestleMania logo. Yes, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, pointed to the fucking WrestleMania logo. John Cena's out there. He tips his cap, gives a salute. He gives a fucking salute to the Fiend. The Fiend, dead, humanized. Are you fucking serious? John Cena, humanizing the Fiend with one salute. After Goldberg buried Bray Wyatt in Saudi Arabia. And then John Cena says, oh, I'm going to stay off the WrestleMania card, actively puts himself on the WrestleMania card. I love the future. Shows you every which way that he doesn't give a shit about the future. And then WrestleMania matches need to be worked for. The fuck did he do? He came back and poof, he's got a WrestleMania match. Who writes this shit? Bruce, who writes this shit? That was one of the worst John Cena promos I think I've ever seen. Smackdown was terrible. And I'm sure it's going to end up being just as bad, if not worse, tonight. Bray Wyatt. Speaking of which, Bray Wyatt on why he challenged John Cena to a match at WrestleMania 36. WWE confirmed that John Cena would be facing Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 36. The company did so in the final segment of Friday's Smackdown after Cena teased a promo that he wouldn't be a part of this year's show. One slight change I would have made was I wouldn't even have made the match official then. I would have had John Cena say, I'm going to stay off the WrestleMania card, and that's it. I would have had him walk off, and that's the way I would have ended the show. And then maybe next week Bray Wyatt would come out and mention something about John Cena. Leave people wanting more. They went right to the fucking salute to Bray Wyatt. I would have had John Cena mention, I'm staying off the WrestleMania card, and goodbye. He goes home. That's what I would have did. So this is a rematch that was booked last week. A rematch from WrestleMania 30 in 2014, where Cena beat Wyatt in a singles match and universally became the one man who ruined Wyatt's career. He never, according to people, Reddit or people in the IWC, Wyatt never recovered from that loss to John Cena. After the show, Wyatt responded to a fan on Twitter who was questioning why Wyatt would care about facing John Cena at WrestleMania. The fan wrote, why does this monster, the Fiend, care if their match at Mania or their match is at Mania or in a sewer? Wouldn't he just be ruthlessly aggressing John Cena anywhere? Surely the Fiend doesn't care about a WrestleMania moment. It's tough not to agree with this fan. Wyatt actually responded to this fan and said this on Twitter, because it has to be where it all began. It's a circle. That really doesn't justify why the match needs to be. It's just justifying the setting. Now, I'm pretty sure if you ask Bray Wyatt and you lock him in a room away from cameras and the general public, and you gauge his interest in this match, his interest in this match is probably not where it should be. If you ask him what the right outcome coming out of Saudi Arabia would be, he would probably say he should be the Universal Champion and that he's utterly disgusted with the creative decision that WWE made at Super Showdown. It doesn't really justify the match. Bray Wyatt is just being logical here. If there's one place, if John Cena is returning, there's one place where Bray Wyatt wants to fight John Cena, and that's at WrestleMania because of their history back at WrestleMania 30. Everything comes full circle. So, I don't mind that. The thing that I do mind is that Bray Wyatt was over And I'm sure Bray Wyatt will be okay. The Fiend character will continue on. But it more has to do with WWE taking spotlights and taking top-tier matches away from future talent, or talent that is the future of the company, when it is not really necessary to do so. Bray Wyatt going into WrestleMania as the Universal Champion was the best decision. It was the decision that needed to be. Now, the reason why I say this, and the reason why I feel this, is because there's no greater story. Where's the story now between Cena and Wyatt? What's the story between Roman Reigns and Bill Goldberg? There is none. And please don't make up a fucking story and tell me that there is one. There is nothing between Goldberg and Roman Reigns. There's nothing outside of the common ground. Oh, this is Bray Wyatt's former opponent at WrestleMania 30. He's looking for his win back. Who gives a fuck? He lost the fucking title. That should be his top priority. Fuck a John Cena. I'm looking at this as, oh, John Cena's back. I'm not looking at this in a way of, oh, Bray Wyatt needs his win back. John Cena's back. Who are you going to put him against on SmackDown that makes the most sense? Out of sheer fucking trial and error here, out of sheer just cutting out all of the shit that doesn't make sense, the one thing that makes sense is Bray Wyatt. That's the only thing I see coming out of this match. The only logical choice here for Wyatt. You want to get Wyatt on the card? You want to get Wyatt on the card, not as Universal Champion. How do we get him on the card? Oh, John Cena wants a WrestleMania match. There you go. That's all I see. It is made out of sheer desperation because there's nothing else for John Cena to logically do that is important, and there's nothing else for Bray Wyatt to do that is important or logical. They got a history together. They got a story together coming out of WrestleMania 30. The thing is now that story is less important than it should have been. The title was going to be the glue to that story to make it feel important. The title was going to be the glue to really make that match stand out as a top-tier match at WrestleMania. Now, Bray Wyatt is actually walking into WrestleMania as John Cena's inferior. He lost to Goldberg in 3 minutes. Goldberg is the Universal Champion and more than likely dropping it to Roman Reigns. I can't see what the importance is here with Wyatt and John Cena when the title was the glue, Cena chasing the title, Bray Wyatt walking into WrestleMania as John Cena's superior and showing him that after all these years, now I could finally get my revenge on you. I'm walking in better than you and I'm walking out better than you. I am going to repay you for what you did to me. Look, everybody said that you killed me in my career. Now I'm the champion, and now I'm going to end yours. I don't know how anybody could justify this match the way it is being more important than what it could have been, or what it should have been. This was just Wyatt making sense. Well, I don't want to fight John Cena just anywhere. Bray Wyatt was pretty much saying, without saying it, there's nothing else for me to do at WrestleMania. So WrestleMania it is with John Cena. That's what that is decoded as. So that's why he said it the way he did. It comes full circle. Yet the circle to me and everybody else that critically shit all over this bullshit with Bill Goldberg, the circle is not coming full circle. The circle is just there. It might be an outline of a circle, but the substance within the circle is empty. That's the way I see it. Bray Wyatt, not only did he respond to this fan, Bray Wyatt seemingly showed frustration over WWE creative following Super Showdown. Now, this is WWE's MO. They want to kill a talent that they think is getting more over than they had anticipated. Now, Bray Wyatt was losing momentum anyway because of their failure to book him correctly in the feud with Seth Rollins. So, according to them, they wanted to now rebuild Wyatt by putting him in a match against John Cena, but he apparently agrees with fans who say the company is tearing down their characters. Why do you need to rebuild something when it was already built up and doing what it needed to do? It was your job to creatively write for him so that the character could be portrayed better on WWE TV. What is it going to do for us and for you if you tear this character down, rebuild it, and start all over again? That's what WWE likes to do. It's like their little fetish. How can we tear this fucking character down and rebuild it again? You see, Bray Wyatt walking in as The Fiend was Bray Wyatt's character. This was Bray Wyatt's creation. This was his vision. Obviously, that didn't fly in WWE, so now they're breaking it down, and now they want to rebuild it in their image. Can't do anything creatively in WWE and get away with it, folks. Sooner or later, the Grim Reaper will come for your soul. And in this case, the Grim Reaper is Vince McMahon. WWE is apparently trying to rebuild Wyatt by putting him in a match against John Cena. Wyatt agrees with fans that the WWE is trying to tear down their characters. A fan tweeted the following to Bray Wyatt. You booked your brand new tag team champions to lose clean in a non-title match. Miz and Morrison on Smackdown, which I failed to mention this. I don't know how this was not looked at and really ranted on, because I was ranting on everything else. This one must have went over my head. Miz and Morrison just beat the New Day on Thursday in Super Showdown. Show up on Friday and lose their first match as tag team champions to the Usos. You booked your tag team champions to lose clean in a non-title match. Are they trying to completely destroy their characters? Bray, who was not tagged in the tweet, simply responded by saying, and I quote, yes. When you have Bray Wyatt, who plays a demonic fucking clown on TV, who wears a creepy mask on TV, and is this fucking unearthly being on WWE TV, when you have Bray Wyatt, of all people, scouring social media because he's frustrated, replying to tweets about WWE destroying their characters. Are they trying to destroy their characters? And he agrees with said tweet. You have a fucking problem. You have a problem. I don't know how anybody could justify anything that's going on. Clearly, the talents, and in this case, Bray, is frustrated. Yes, they are. Now, you see that. If you are a talent in the company who works with Bray Wyatt, who respects Bray Wyatt, who rides with Bray Wyatt on the road, and you see this, are you going to go out there and complain that Bray Wyatt is doing nothing but complaining? Are you going to go out there and say, oh, the crybaby's got to take to social media instead of working hard? It's not the case here. Bray Wyatt has worked hard. You don't get a second chance in this business like Bray Wyatt has gotten a second chance. He came in great. Came in great with the Wyatt family. WWE killed him. They killed the family, and they killed Wyatt. They made Wyatt look like a joke. And Wyatt's a damn good pro wrestler. He went away, came back, reinvented himself under this new image. How many guys can you say have done that in their career? Not many. He got a second opportunity. And he got a second opportunity because he is that good. He is that creative. And WWE did it again. They broke him down and they killed him again. You know how hard he worked at this. The one thing that I mentioned when I ranted on this entire thing was Bray. Bray is the one guy I feel sorry for. He's the one guy that I feel the ultimate sadness for, because look at all the effort and all the countless hours he put into coming up with this concept and the mask and the character and the funhouse and the sleepless nights. I'm sure he wrote promos and really dove into just really feeling the character. He's like Heath Ledger playing fucking Joker and Batman, you know? He lived this character. He emotionally took that dive into this fucking character's world. And this is what was created. And WWE took all of that hard work and love and passion and dedication to his craft and said, you're not good enough. We're going to bring in a 53-year-old Bill Goldberg, and you're not going to be the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania. Why even give him the Universal Championship to begin with? Bray Wyatt didn't need it when he needed it. Bray Wyatt needed to just be Bray Wyatt. But WWE was so terrible, and their main event scene on Raw was so terrible that Seth Rollins, coming out of his feud with Braun Strowman, had nobody else to feud with. That's where WWE fucked up. It is their fault. Bray and his failures is nothing but WWE's fault. Look at that roster on Raw. Look at Rollins. Rollins had to feud with another babyface just to get him a fucking opponent on pay-per-view. They had to put the tag team titles on them just so that they could build a fucking half-ass makeshift storyline out of, oh, look, the tag team champions are feuding, and one of them is happening to be defending the Universal Championship on Sunday. We don't got an opponent for him. One half of the tag team champions is also the Universal Champion, and boom. That's how they built that story and that feud, and then he goes right on to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was the only heel in WWE on Raw worth anything at that time, so they figured, let's take the hot hand and put him against Rollins. And what did they do? They still didn't pull the trigger on the right creative decision. Now we're looking at it here again, and now Bray Wyatt is just dead. Dead. Yes, they're breaking down their characters and trying to completely destroy them. They don't give a fuck about any of their active talent. The main reason why WWE approved the Canadian Destroyer on the main roster, I found this to be hilarious. I really did. Now, the Canadian Destroyer has been seen on SmackDown. It's been seen on Raw. It's been seen with Andrade and Rey Mysterio and Adam Cole, Panama Sunrise. Remember back in the day last year? Back in the day usually means like fucking 3, 4, 5 years ago. Back in the day last year when WWE was just running Andrade and Rey Mysterio through the ringer. Oh, they had a great match. Let's do it again. Oh, they had another great match. Let's do it again 3 weeks in a row. As soon as everybody on social media likes something that WWE pulls out of their bag of tricks, oh my God, this worked. Let's do it again. Lazy. It's lazy writing. In that match, we were all shocked to see Andrade and Rey Mysterio, trading Canadian Destroyers. That's what they were doing. So we've seen it. Michael Cole called Adam Cole and Pete Dunne at the Survivor Series, where there was multiple Panama Sunrises done in that match. One on the apron, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure Michael Cole knows what a Panama Sunrise is. Vince McMahon doesn't watch wrestling unless his company produced the match. The Canadian Destroyer has been around forever since Petey Williams brought it to the public in TNA. Now, while the Canadian Destroyer is a move that many people are doing on WWE television, it's not being used as a finisher either. Adam Cole and his finisher is the last shot. It's a running, shining wizard from behind the head. The Panama Sunrise is nothing more than a setup for Adam Cole. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez told a very interesting story about how WWE superstars were finally given permission to use the Canadian Destroyer. And I quote, "Don't you know the story of this? Apparently there was an NXT match. It was a takeover or something. And Vince McMahon was there. Somebody did a Destroyer, and Vince was like, God damn, why don't we use that move on the main roster? Or something like that, and it was allowed thereafter on the main roster." End quote. So, I don't know what I believe more. Vince being at a takeover or Vince asking why aren't moves like this being done on the main roster? When has Vince ever been about bringing moves from NXT to the main roster? When has Vince ever given a shit about a move in general? If anything, Vince takes moves away. Give me a break. I don't know where Brian Alvarez heard that story, but Jesus Christ, man, take that one with a grain of salt. Vince at a takeover? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm sure that was probably Survivor Series. I'm sure he was there and he seen Adam Cole do it, and then he probably asked Triple H, why aren't we doing these types of moves on the main roster? Who gives a shit? Now we see it and we see it and we see it, and it's just like a regular move. Michael Cole, during the Usos match, I think they did a Canadian Destroyer into a splash to finish off the Miz and Morrison match. Michael Cole says, my God, I'd never seen a move like that before. You never seen a Canadian Destroyer before, Michael Cole. In all of your 21 years of commentating WWE programming, you've never seen a fucking Canadian Destroyer, and you call yourself a play-by-play? Bro, Michael Cole was trending on social media for all the wrong reasons following Friday's show. That wasn't bad. The fucking shilling and the justification of Bill Goldberg winning the Universal Championship and the picture getting 850,000 likes Everybody was tweeting about Michael Cole for all the wrong reasons. Corey Graves didn't help matters either. Goldberg and Roman Reigns, this is a match that you could only see in your dreams. Like I said on SmackDown, if Graves is saying this is a match that you could only see or envision in your dreams, man, oh man, wake me when it's fucking over. Seriously. Or wake me before I fall asleep, I should say. It's a fucking nightmare waiting to happen, never mind a fucking dream. Jesus Christ. Jeff Hardy. Speaking of nightmares, Jeff Hardy has had a nightmare year in 2019, looking to make a return to the WWE in 2020. Hardy has announced he's been cleared to return following an 11-month absence. I'm sorry, Jeff, those 11 months are being added on top of your contract, so you are with the WWE for an additional year. WWE is clearing Jeff Hardy, and he will be back sooner rather than later. Hardy underwent knee surgery in April last year, just days after winning the Smackdown Tag Team titles from his brother Matt, who is now no longer contracted to the WWE after his deal expired on March 1st. Jeff originally signed to the same date, but as reported by Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp, WWE has added at least a year, 11 months, to his contract because of his time off. He noted that he hasn't really spoken to Matt about his situation, so he couldn't offer any insight into his future. During his period away from the ring, the charismatic enigma, which, I don't know if you guys watch Dynamite, but Jim Ross is calling Darby Allin the enigma of All Elite Wrestling. Similarities there to Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin, with Jim Ross kind of indirectly saying that Darby Allin is their version of Jeff Hardy. So he was arrested twice for public intoxication in July and driving while impaired with a revoked license in October. He revealed on WWE Backstage that the morning after the second of those arrests, he entered inpatient rehab for the first time ever, which is absolutely fantastic. Good. He's due in court on April 6th regarding that charge. According to reports, Hardy has been backstage for at least the last 2 episodes of SmackDown, so it looks like he'll be returning to the Blue brand when he's back on TV. That is the brand that he was with before all this bad shit happened. He added in the interview that he's just waiting for creative direction and then he'll be back. Jeff Hardy was actually on WWE Backstage, and I figured that this was going to be a must-see because we haven't heard from Jeff at all. WWE Backstage with Jeff Hardy, where he had a sit-down interview with Renee Young and went over that he was going into inpatient rehab and that he was coming back and he's just waiting for creative and all the things that had happened. He had not spoken to Matt, and Matt's gone, and it's okay for the Hardys or the Hardy Boys, the Hardy Brothers, to exist in different places. They'll be fine. WWE Backstage drew the lowest rating in the history of the show being on FS1. Now, I don't know if this was a glitch. I don't know if this is a troll. I thought I had read this wrong. Apparently, I did not. I fact-checked all of this before I actually hit record. This was the legitimate rating for WWE Backstage on FS1. The lowest viewership in the history of the show. 18,000 viewers on Tuesday night. The show was largely built around the return of Jeff Hardy, who's been absent since picking up a serious knee injury shortly after WrestleMania 35, and had plenty to say on the show, including confirmation that he'd been cleared for his comeback. Sadly, this was not enough to save the numbers for WWE Backstage. Showbuzz Daily is reporting that WWE Backstage drew a 0.01 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The overall viewership represents a massive drop from the previous week's 127,000 viewers. That is unbelievable. The previous week had 127,000, and this week did 18. The old worst record was 49,000, and that was the debut episode of WWE Backstage. So why the horrendous number? It was Super Tuesday, is what they're saying. Backstage was going up against one of the most important nights in the United States political calendar, as a boatload of states all held presidential primaries. Coverage on networks like NBC, CBS, and ABC largely dominated the night, with only an NBA game pitting the 76ers against LeBron James and the LA Lakers breaking their grip on the evening's top 5 most watched shows. We'll see. I don't think people are really giving a shit about WWE Backstage, but 18,000 viewers? You're better off not even having a fucking show at that point. It's a waste of fucking time. You're actually losing money on this shit. You're showing up to work. The people on the show are making their money, but this is doing nothing for Fox. This is doing absolutely nothing for Fox. They look at this shit, it's like, man, we're wasting money. We're throwing money down the fucking toilet. And the one thing I look at, and the one thing I think about when I look at numbers like that, every one of my videos this week did more viewership than WWE Backstage. This podcast today is going to do more viewership than WWE Backstage. My Monday Night Raw review video did 2.5 times the amount of viewership that WWE Backstage did. My AEW Dynamite podcast on Wednesday did more viewers than WWE Backstage. Pat myself on the back for that one. Nobody gives a shit about Backstage. Again, it's on at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. People are working. People are working the next day. People go to sleep early. Kids got to be in school. Jeff Hardy is a big name. He really is. It's not big enough to pull people away from watching the political bullshit that's going on right now in a presidential election year. So, I feel sorry for everybody that watched WWE Backstage, but 18,000 viewers, man, that is absolutely embarrassing for WWE. And we'll see what happens next week. I'm sure they'll bounce back next week, but again, very interesting to report that after being up 127,000 the week prior. Guys, today's podcast, like I said, is brought to you by my good friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. You guys are going to use code SCRIPTS at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 Essentials Kit, the perfect tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. It's waterproof, it's cordless, and it's a body trimmer for us men, and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine. This third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. And of course, let's not forget about their crop preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. I hope so. You wrestling marks out there. Some of you don't. I know some of you do, but you already put deodorant, hopefully, on your armpits. So why not put deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? When you purchase the new Perfect Package 3.0 kit at Manscaped.com, use code SCRIPT, you get the best bang for your buck. Subscribers get a new replacement blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your front door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. And for a limited time, subscribers of Off the Script get not one, but 2 free gifts. The Shed Travel Bag, $39 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. That might be the very best thing in the entire Essentials 3.0 package. Those boxer briefs are fantastic. They are super comfortable. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with code SCRIPT at Manscaped.com, and do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Once again, guys, that's Manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT, 20% off, free shipping, and I want to thank them for supporting Off the Script, episode 316, right here on the channel. All right, well, we just talked about all the WWE-related content on Fox. Let's shift gears and talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw ratings were up for the Elimination Chamber Go-Home show. And I have to give WWE credit. They really lined up Monday Night Raw to be a must-see show. There was a lot on paper that I liked about that show, and at the end of the 3 hours, it was a complete shit show. Literally nothing made sense on that show. Nothing. Nothing. From AJ Styles and Aleister Black to Ricochet being buried by Riddick Moss to Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler being in the ring together. Nothing made sense. The best thing on that show, and the best thing that continues to come out of Monday Night Raw, is Randy Orton. And the feud with Edge is the best thing going into WrestleMania. It's amazing. And I got news on why that is tomorrow. Because there is a certain somebody working with Randy Orton and Edge on their storyline and their program going into WrestleMania. But Monday Night Raw was up for the Elimination Chamber, which is not good news because Vince, seeing the show, ripped up the original script, rewrote the show before the show went on the air, and the ratings were still up from the previous week when we didn't hear news about Vince McMahon ripping up the script. So this is probably justification for him. Oh, look, I can write a better show in the last minute. I don't want to hear that. I don't even want to think that. This show sucked. Raw was terrible this week. And there's no justification with a card that was looking that good to be that bad. Raw ratings were up. Raw this week was up 2% from the previous week with 2.26 million viewers. Like last week, the episode opened low, but the decline during the show was far less than usual. The first to third hour decline was 10%. It was the third lowest number of viewers for Raw in the modern era. And I love how that is associated with a Vince McMahon written show. Lowest number of viewers for Raw in the modern era for a non-holiday episode or an episode without opposition from a major sporting event. This episode was Raw's go-home show for the Elimination Chamber and also the first Raw since Super Showdown. It was up 4% in the 18 to 49 demo and was the top show on cable in that specific demo. It was 11th overall on cable, trailing news-related programs. The show was down 18% from the week last year, or the same week last year, so it was down 18% from the same week's episode last year. Where did all those people go, Vince? I don't know. The first to third hour declines were 11% for women, 18 to 49, 5% for men, 18 to 49, and 9% for people over 50. However, teenagers and 18 to 34 grew as the show went on, which is uncommon with the current WWE product. The 3 hours were as follows: 8 p.m., 2.36, 9 p.m., 2.30, and the dreaded third hour, 10 p.m., a 2.12. And that's where the biggest and best storyline actually happened at the end of the show. And that's where that tag team match with Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo versus my boy Angel Garza and Andrade, who is inevitably losing that United States Championship soon rather than later. Maybe you should go hide in the factory in which Charbot was built. Maybe you'll find some solace there. Maybe you should go and clone yourself in the Charlotte Flair Android factory and send him out there to lose the title so we don't have to see the real Andrade lose. Will the real Andrade please stand up? You know? Can you imagine Andrade doing the fucking Android like Charlotte Flair? I can't. Andrade, man, what a waste of a talent on this show. It sucks. It really does suck. Monday Night Raw, though, I got to give them credit. The show sucked on Monday, but the WrestleMania side of things on Monday Night Raw is looking pretty decent. Don't know where we go with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and the Ministry of Clowns. I don't know where we go with that, but, you know, things are looking okay for WrestleMania's side of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, it's led by Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. That's been okay, but I don't really put enough faith in WWE to do that right. The match outcome will probably be what we expect, Drew McIntyre winning the title, but it's all in the follow-up. But Edge and Randy Orton have just been killing it. Honestly, they've been killing it, and I see people complaining after Monday Night Raw went off the air. How could they do this to Beth Phoenix and whatnot? I love it. I love it. That wasn't even that bad. That wasn't even that bad. We had an RKO to Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble last year. Now all of a sudden you want to complain about an RKO to Beth Phoenix? Give me a break. Everybody loved it when Nia Jax took the RKO. She even took a fucking mean super kick from Dolph Ziggler. Where was that? I complained about that because there's no woman that should be in a fucking men's Royal Rumble match. I don't give a fuck. You ain't China, motherfucker. Okay? So, I didn't like that aspect of it, but the fact that she took an RKO, man, she took it like a beast. Beth Phoenix did as well. And it sold the storyline. You want captivating story? You gotta take risks. Stop being a pussy. Seriously. Anyway, I don't even want to sit here and talk about the Monday Night Raw illogical garbage that came out of that show. I'm sure we will get to it as these stories progress here in the second portion of this podcast, but WWE, before Raw, held a talent meeting to talk about the outbreak that's going on. I don't even want to mention the name because I'm sure the algorithm will pick it up and then boom, I'll be demonetized. The outbreak that's going on. That specific beer that it's associated with, you know that one. So WWE held a talent meeting before in regards to the outbreak that's going on. And PW Insider noted that the meeting was to go over the latest and last-minute up-to-date information on the outbreak to inform talents on what they can do to protect themselves while on the road. 2 more cases of this outbreak were confirmed in Florida, in Tampa, the site of this year's WrestleMania 36. For anyone wondering, there has been no talk of rescheduling or moving the show. If they did move the show, I would actually like that because then it would give me an opportunity to be in Tampa because I can't be in Tampa that weekend. So last week during an interview with TampaBay.com, Stephanie McMahon was asked about the outbreak and how WWE will address the issue with wrestlers. McMahon said the health and safety of our fan base is key, but also our superstars, and they do come first. We don't want to put anyone in a bad situation ever, regardless of the circumstance. Those are not risks worth taking. She also said and continued on, and I quote, "Given the number of live events that WWE does, it's constantly monitoring global events. There are active and ongoing discussions at play internally, like there are in any sector of American business, and certainly families as a whole. So I think those will continue." End quote. Several events in Japan, including New Japan's shows scheduled for the month, have been canceled in their entirety. There's no shows. So no wrestling shows in the United States have been canceled as of now. Of course, things can change as the number of outbreak cases increase. WrestleMania tends to draw a large number of fans from all around the world who are also there to attend independent shows. So the outbreak and the news of it has to be a top concern for everybody in Tampa. Despite the latest reports on the outbreak spreading into the Tampa area, WWE continued with its plans for WrestleMania 36. They issued a statement to ESPN, and I quote, "The health and safety of our fans, performers, and employees are our top priority right now, and we are monitoring the situation closely with our partners and government officials in Tampa Bay." They continued to say, and I quote, "We remain committed to hosting WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium on Sunday, April 5th, and like other entertainment properties in the United States, there are currently no plans to cancel or postpone our upcoming events." End quote. Like I said, 2 cases have been confirmed in Tampa, and there is no concern that others may have been infected, but not yet reported by hundreds of others being monitored. Sporting events in some countries, including New Japan Pro Wrestling, like I said, postponed and canceled all their shows for the month. And fans will also be in town, obviously, during WrestleMania time for other events being hosted by other promotions like WrestleCon and Game Changer Wrestling, amongst others. The outbreak can be spread through coughing, sneezing, and touching any infected surface. Anyone and everyone is advised to wash their hands and keep away from touching surfaces and avoid contact with anyone who is sick. I love how the President of the United States went on Fox the other night and called it the flu. It's exactly what it is, folks. It's exactly what it is. I don't want to downplay the severity of the issue, but I have to admit to you, and I think you're all prone to what's going on, and you're all up to date on what's going on, and you're all sitting there as smart individuals, dummies. I don't think I have any dummies watching me. The news that you watch is strictly there to invoke fear in the general public. This is what the government wants. The government wants to invoke fear in the citizens of the United States. CNN and Fox and all these other news outlets that are reporting this outbreak, they're making it sound and seem like it's the end times, the end of the world, like we're going to turn into the fucking Walking Dead with this thing. Okay? Everything that I've seen, everything that I've heard, it's the common flu. It's the common flu. You're not going to contract this thing and then turn into a fucking creature from The Last of Us. You're not. You're not going to be walking around with like fucking 6 arms. You're not going to be fucking some mutated creature, Whatever you usually do in your daily life, whatever you usually do, whether you go to the gym, whether you're at work, whether you touch this or touch that, I wash my hands 6 to 10 times a day. After every time I use the bathroom, if I go to the gym, I wash my hands in the gym before I go, after I go. Carry around the sanitizer with you. Carry around Lysol wipes with you. Stay away, obviously, from people that are sick. It's the same procedure as if you were following your daily routine. It's the same procedure as if you were, trying to not catch the flu. The same thing. The same thing. So whatever you've been doing, continue doing. If you have not been sick, continue doing what you're doing to not get sick. That's all I can tell you. As far as WrestleMania is concerned, getting canceled, Vince would rather die than see WrestleMania get canceled. That's all I have to say on that. WrestleMania is not, I would like to see it postponed so that I could actually attend and maybe do a meet and greet down there, but I don't see that happening. I would find that to be hilarious if it does happen, but I like when WWE gets their shit pushed in, But they're not canceling WrestleMania. Everything is going to go on as planned. Hopefully, if you're going down there, you're safe and you follow the proper procedures. Don't get sick. Don't cough on anybody. Cover your fucking mouth when you sneeze and cough. Don't touch anything. Bring sanitizer with you. Like I said, if you're at these wrestling shows, constantly wash your hands, please. Those are some of the most dirtiest events that you could possibly ever attend. A pro wrestling show. Believe me. I know. So, WrestleMania is not getting canceled. Don't worry about it. Speaking of Vince McMahon tore up the Monday Night Raw script before the show. What else is new? What else is new in the world of WWE? There were 2 bright spots on Monday Night Raw. I'd say 3, maybe. Lesnar selling for McIntyre and really making him look like a beast. And then the tag team match with Andrade and Garza versus Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo. And then we had Randy Orton and Beth Phoenix and that whole ending segment where he RKO'd Beth into oblivion. However, there was some backlash on social media for most of the show, including Ricochet being defeated by Riddick Moss in what appears to be Vince McMahon's latest burial of someone who is considered to be a Paul Heyman guy. On Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez noted that even with the XFL in full swing, Vince McMahon is still very hands-on with the show, even when he's not backstage. McMahon was backstage on Monday, and he didn't like what was planned, so he decided to rewrite the show. Alvarez said that Randy Orton's segment at the end of Raw was unbelievable, and man, I thought the tag team match was great, and I thought the segment at the beginning where they put over Drew McIntyre 3 times on Brock Lesnar with the Claymore kick was great. That stuff was great, but the middle 2 hours between sucked, said Alvarez. He added, and I quote, "I don't know everything that happened on Monday, but I do know that this guy showed up and he changed everything again. Apparently it was worse than usual, and if you watch the show was worse than usual." End quote. Heyman has been able to get some ideas in, but it is clear that the real change will never happen in WWE unless McMahon decides to step back and let others have control over the creative side of things. There is a reason why the final segment was so great, because it had very little to do with Vince McMahon. Now, I understand Vince McMahon is always going to be there. It's WrestleMania season. I expect Vince McMahon to be there. But I honestly think we are so knee-deep in WrestleMania season that Vince McMahon's behavior and Vince McMahon's mentality is actually very harmful and damaging to the overall product. Seriously. There's no reason this late in the game, 4 weeks before WrestleMania, for you to show up on Monday Night Raw, no matter where the fuck Monday Night Raw is emanating from, and show up and rewrite the entire script when you have seen the positive come out of social media in regards to how these shows have been portrayed. Monday Night Raw, and I, for one, have been absolutely fucking critical, more than anyone, about Monday Night Raw. For years, I've been critical about Monday Night Raw, and I am always a straight shooter. I opened up and said, man, Monday Night Raw is actually looking better than Smackdown. Monday Night Raw has a different feel to it. There's definitely change happening on Raw. Whether it's with the talent being pushed, whether it's just the feel of the show, it's more youthful, it's definitely more Paul Heyman influenced. I seen it. I felt it. Now, 3 hours is still 3 hours. 3 hours is still too long. The show, in general, is just a bad wrestling show. But it was watchable. It wasn't, oh my God, doom and gloom, this show is the worst show ever. I actually sat through 3 hours. There was good, there was bad. Just like any other wrestling show. But the bad sometimes outweighs the good. And the bad sometimes in number outnumbers the good. But this late into the WrestleMania season, there is no need to change these shows around. And I mean, if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. The opening segment, Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman is directly producing that match. He's helping Brock and helping Drew, and he's going to have a hands-on approach. So that's his thing. Of course that was going to be good. Randy Orton and Edge, and the whole storyline that's being built and told and portrayed on Raw. Paul Heyman has a direct influence on that as well. That's why that has been good. Now, McMahon might have jumped in and used Hardy and tried to embarrass Matt Hardy in this situation, but the overall feel of the storyline has been produced and booked and written and molded by Paul Heyman. That's why it's been good. You know? And then the tag team match with Andrade and Garza versus Mysterio and Humberto. All four guys are absolutely gifted. They're all talented. I mean, I give Humberto shit, but, I mean, it is what it is. But Garza and Andrade are fantastic. Ray has always been good. Humberto, he's a talented guy. You put those four personalities and those four talents in the ring together, you know you're going to get something good. If you don't, you know you done fucked up. There's no way you're going to put those four guys in the ring on Raw and not produce something at least semi-decent. And then everything else on that show was absolutely fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible. Why is Ricochet being buried? Why is Ricochet being buried on Monday Night Raw? Why would I have any faith in anybody coming up from NXT? You think I want to see Adam Cole get called up to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live? They'll take one look at him, buried. Can you imagine Adam Cole being buried like Ricochet on Raw or SmackDown? I think the internet will fucking implode. Seriously. Does Vince McMahon even watch NXT? This is a blatant fact of the matter that Vince did not watch NXT. Otherwise, Ricochet wouldn't be in the Cedric Alexander boat. Ricochet does not deserve to be booked like he has been. He was merely fed to Brock Lesnar for absolutely no reason. How are you going to go over Bobby Lashley in a very hard-fought match, the triple threat that they had, to earn the right, earn the right to go against Brock Lesnar in Super Showdown, and then show up and look ridiculous while doing it, and not get 1 ounce of offense in that match? I don't know who booked that match. I wanted to think and believe that Paul Heyman was giving Ricochet the rub. But then that was definitely a Paul Heyman decision as far as who Brock Lesnar faces. But ultimately, it came down to it. The match and the way it was produced was all Vince McMahon. And Ricochet should have never been in that position to begin with. You know, and then he shows up on Monday Night Raw and loses to Riddick Moss. Riddick fucking Moss. I'm going to look here. And I want to read this list to you guys because this is fucking embarrassing. And for everybody that said to me that Ricochet is not buried, listen to this list. Listen to this fucking list. Ricochet lost to the 24/7 champion. Okay? Lost to the 24/7 champion, Riddick Moss. A championship that he failed to win. Now, he should have never even been put in that situation to begin with. It was a lose-lose situation. He wins the title, he looks like a fucking loser. He loses, he looks like a fucking loser. But I want you to think about this for a second. Ricochet, who is one of the world's most talented and gifted wrestlers. Ricochet, who was in NXT and lit the fucking world on fire in NXT. Couldn't win the 24/7 championship. A championship that has been held by Titus O'Neil. When was the last time he's been on television? Robert Roode, R-Truth, Elias, Jinder Mahal, Drake Maverick, Heath Slater, Cedric Alexander, EC3 had a 24/7 title reign. EC3, in this instance, is greater than Ricochet. Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe won the 24/7 championship. Kelly Kelly, Candice Michelle, Alundra Blaze, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, while pregnant, mind you. The Revival. Why they're on this list, I have no idea. Rob Stone of Fox College Football was a 24/7 champion. Okay? Bo Dallas, Enos Cantor, okay? Mayor Glenn Jacobs, Carmella, Marshmallow, couldn't win a title that was held by fucking Marshmallow. Tamina Snuka won the 24/7 championship. Carmella, Sunil Singh, Samir Singh, Kyle Busch, Santa Claus. Fucking Santa Claus was the 24/7 champion, a title that Ricochet failed to win. Santa Claus. Okay? Then we got Mike Rome. Yes, the ring announcer, Mike Rome. Then we got Mojo Rawley. Then we got Riddick Moss. Folks, if you think Ricochet is not buried, reading that list, I don't know how you could think he's not buried. Seriously. Like, I remember this guy showing up in NXT, lighting the world on fire in that ladder match for the inaugural North American Championship. You knew he was destined for big things. Feuding with Dream, and then he feuded with Gargano, feuded with Cole, he tagged Aleister Black. He had an NXT run that a lot of people would absolutely kill for. And there's no way you could look at that and then say, man, this guy's going to fail on the main roster. I looked at him as, this guy's going to be the future of this company. He's going to be the modern day AJ Styles. When AJ Styles is too old and can't do what AJ Styles could normally do, you're going to look and find solace in Ricochet. He's going to take that style and he's going to mold it into his own. He's going to be this generation's version of AJ Styles. Vince looks at this guy, whether it's the color of his skin, whether it's the fact that he's 190 pounds, 180 pounds, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that he can't cut a fucking promo. I don't know what it is. But man, oh man, WWE, if you need any more of a fucking slap in the face as to what they think of their talent, look no further than Ricochet. They bury talent because that's what they do. The flavor of the week, oh, this guy was hot coming up from NXT. Then why the fuck did you call him up from NXT? If this was what you were going to do with him, why did you call him up? What type of influence does Paul Heyman have if Ricochet, all these different reports came out and said that Paul Heyman is a huge Ricochet advocate. Ricochet is going to be in good hands on Monday Night Raw because he's a Paul Heyman guy. What does that say about Paul Heyman's influence on Monday Night Raw? It was all a fucking farce. Paul Heyman has no influence on Monday Night Raw. None. Cedric Alexander, dead. Ricochet, dead. Andrade, dead. Buddy Murphy. How long before we see Buddy Murphy start sinking to the bottom of the barrel? We already seen it with Humberto. I don't know how the fuck he survived. I don't know how he's keeping his head above water on this show. WWE does not appreciate young talent. There's nothing wrong with Ricochet. Nothing. If Vince can't see the talent in Ricochet, then he has lost every ounce of credibility I've ever thought he had as far as having a knack for talent. What a disgrace. An absolute disgrace was Monday Night Raw, and the majority of that was the burial of Ricochet. Seriously. Vince McMahon has given up on Ricochet. Meltzer said this, and I quote, "Somebody needs to get out of Dodge. Do you know what I mean? But these guys are contracted for a long time. I don't know how long his deal is, but it's not like I haven't asked or haven't been asked all night. I don't know what the mentality is. Ricochet is done. It's Vince. You know, he may change his mind next week, but yeah, this week he's done. He's so done. There's no, yeah, this was brutal. You know, without a doubt. Who knows? Vince just gets these things in his head, like with Cedric Alexander, who was supposed to get a big push, and Vince just buried the guy, and now he's burying another guy. Ricochet is one of Paul Heyman's guys, and McMahon went along with Heyman's ideas, but I'm told that McMahon never saw Ricochet's appeal. Ricochet, you know, I gotta be honest with you. It's the fact, I don't know why he hired Paul Heyman to be in this position if he's the executive director. Let the executive director fucking do what he needs to do, and that's direct as an executive, please. You know what Ricochet's problem is? Everybody looks towards, oh, the guy can't cut a promo. Oh, he's too small. He's this and that. You know what the problem is? Vince looks at Ricochet and sees Ricochet. And then he sees a guy like Rollins, or he sees a guy like Humberto, he sees a guy like Andrade, he sees a guy like Garza, he sees a guy like Aleister Black, right, who's a big guy. He looks at these guys and he says, if these guys are doing what Ricochet is doing, why the fuck do I need Ricochet? Like, what is the appeal in Ricochet if I got all these other guys on the show doing the same exact thing? What is the appeal with Ricochet when I got Seth Rollins doing the same exact thing that Ricochet is doing? See what I get at? That's Ricochet's problem. Ricochet should have never been called up from NXT. Ricochet will be on main event before you know it. He'll be destined for main event. He'll be stuck on main event. And the sad thing is, this guy's got probably 5 years left on his contract. He's got 5 years left, I'm sure, on his contract. And the fucked up thing is, I look at Ricochet and I look at somebody that is just happy to be there. Ricochet has come out and he's already been critical of the fans' opinion. Why not me? He was shitting on fans because of the announced match at Super Showdown with Brock Lesnar and himself. You know, he was shitting on fans. Aren't you guys happy about anything? Yeah, we're happy about you. We want you to succeed. You don't need to shit on us. We're in your corner. We're in your corner. Now where is he? Now where is he? I don't hear him on social media now. We came to your defense then, we came to your defense now, yet you shit on us for a match that you did not belong in because we seen the future. We seen what was coming. And now, that future is the present. And now where are you? Now you got nothing to say. The sad thing is, I look at Ricochet and I look at somebody that's just happy to be there. This was his childhood dream, he said. Was your childhood dream to work for Vince McMahon and then not be appreciated by Vince McMahon and the company that you dreamed so much about being in? This was his dream, he says. Buried was his dream. Ricochet will never recover from this. Never. Ricochet is going to end up like Tyler Breeze, asking to be released, and then they're going to put him back down in NXT. Should have never left NXT in the first place. Ricochet should have been down in NXT to really show everybody what he was truly made of. 6 months was not, or a year, whatever it was not long enough. The guy is young enough where he could have afforded to stay down there a second year, going into a third year. If Adam Cole is still there, Ricochet should have still been there. WWE called this guy up without knowing what the fuck he was. And now look, now they don't give a fuck about him. This is the current state of WWE. Man, would he look good in AEW. Booker T. I didn't even read this report yet. I didn't even read the transcript of what he said about Ricochet. This is the first time I'm reading this, so let's poke fun and call Booker T a goon at the same time. Talks about Ricochet on his podcast, Hall of Fame podcast with Booker T. This is what he said, and I quote, "This guy is mega talented in that For a lot of people, especially out there in that independent world that has watched Ricochet for so long, they said, man, Ricochet, why isn't he in WWE doing the same thing he did on the independents? Booker T then further elaborated his independent talk by saying, because Ricochet is in a different place now. It's a totally different place to work. Yeah, because Vince McMahon handcuffs those who are super talented. That's what the difference is. Meanwhile, on the independents, Ricochet would be allowed to be Ricochet. In WWE, Ricochet is not allowed to be anything because he'll be stepping on everybody else's toes. It's a totally different place to work in WWE. He has to learn a whole lot of different things than on the independent scene. Again, I reiterate and I ask, if he has a lot to learn, Booker, why did he get pulled from NXT, which is a place that you bring independent talent to learn the WWE way? What is he learning on the main roster? He's learning that his boss doesn't give a flying fuck about him. So I ask, why was this guy brought up to the main roster if he has a whole lot of different things to learn compared to when he was on the independent scene? Be that as it may, I love the independent world because a lot of my students are getting work, but it's totally different than being at the highest level. You got to have character. And that's one thing I really think that Ricochet needs to work on is his character building. Yes, we all know that. That's what NXT is for. That's what NXT is for. Character building. We didn't dive into who Ricochet was on NXT. He got pulled immediately because of his in-ring work alone. And when has the main roster ever been around or been for in-ring work? Not that I remember. I can't remember the last time WWE had a fucking 5-star match on the main roster. This is what NXT is for. And yes, the fact that Ricochet is Ricochet and you got people doing Ricochet things that aren't Ricochet on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. And the fact, yes, that his character needs building. He needs promo work. But this is what NXT and the PC is for. You pulled him out of that environment to have him ultimately fail when he was not ready to be a WWE superstar. He was ready to be a WWE superstar in what he does in the ring. Yet every other aspect of the Ricochet character needed work. And now we see that. And now he's being punished for it because WWE got too trigger happy and wanted talent on the main shows. Too soon. Too soon. Booker T then went on to talk about how Ricochet can build his character in WWE. He says, and I quote, I'm going to tell you right now, in losing, you're going to build some character. You're going to find yourself. With Ricochet, this may be something that maybe 6 months down the road, you may see someone totally different. Or you may not see at all. The only thing that I see is I see somebody that's going to be asking for his fucking release at the end of the 6 months or to a year. You think this is part of a WWE grand scheme of things to bury Ricochet? If WWE had a fucking plan for Ricochet, they wouldn't have him lose to the 24/7 champion. He wouldn't be challenging for the 24/7 championship if this was a plan. There's no fucking plan. The plan is to bury him. This isn't some grand scheme. He's not going to fucking turn heel. I said it on Monday. If you are going to do something here with Ricochet, have him join Seth Rollins. Buddy Murphy cost Seth Rollins a tag team championship. You can play off that fucking aspect on it. They lost the tag team titles to the Street Profits, which is a fucking illogical decision in its own right. But have him join the ministry. He's a disillusioned fucking talent. Find your right path. That's what Rollins is for, right? Follow me, my son. I think Rollins needs to start seeking out Ricochet. Unbelievable. So, Booker T also addressed the idea that Ricochet is being buried on WWE television. He says this, and I quote, actually, people talk about Ricochet is getting buried. It may appear to be that way. That's why I like the stories totally different than most people do. Or look at the stories totally different than most people do. The fans say, why isn't WWE building young stars? Buddy Murphy's getting a pretty damn good rub. Murphy is getting a good rub. He's actually paying dividends. Street Profits just got the tag team championship. Yeah, how long before they lose the tag team championship? They just got a nice little bump and a nice rub. Boom. Okay. And I could justify you saying, you could justify yourself saying that, but there's also an easy way to counter what you're saying. Buddy Murphy is a Paul Heyman thing. How soon before Buddy Murphy falls in the eyes of Vince McMahon? And he's out of the ministry and back on WWE Superstars and Main Event. The Street Profits, they were given not one, not two, but 3 opportunities at the tag team titles for absolutely no reason. They lost their first match to Rollins and Murphy. They lost their second match to Rollins and Murphy. And then all of a sudden they are gifted a tag team title opportunity for basically doing nothing. And then we're getting a match on Sunday, a 4th match in the series of matches. Who gives a shit at that point? The Street Profits were given a tag team title match on a Monday Night Raw that was given the moniker of Now or Never. It was a now or never match for the Street Profits. That's like telling me it's Street Profits winning the tag team titles now match on Monday Night Raw. WWE gave away the outcome before the match and the bell even rang before the match started. So why am I going to look at that as a good thing? The Street Profits have been doing SNL skits. They've been fucking spokesmen and hype men for Monday Night Raw, jumping up and down and being cringe in front of a teleprompter, going over the fucking match card for Raw and pay-per-views. Meanwhile, they should have been running through most of the division to show me that they've earned a tag team title opportunity. They got a tag team title opportunity after losing on Super Showdown. How could anybody justify that? Maybe Booker T is that much of a shill. Yeah, they're the tag team champions, Book. But where's the chase? Where's the build? Where's the deserving aspect that they earned the tag team title shot? They were just given. There was no chase here. The chase is just as important as winning the championship. It may be more important than winning the championship. There was no chase. There was no investment from the fans. So when you say, oh yeah, the Street Profits are being built up as new guys on the show, why do I fucking care about the Street Profits when they haven't been treated as a big deal before the championship win? It's not how I would have handled things. People in WWE like Booker T try to justify the company's decisions without shitting on them at all. They dance around the big topics. They do. They dance around the illogical bullshit that we see on this show. Street Profits are good. Yes, they are. Do they deserve the tag team titles? No. Ricochet is great. Does he deserve to be buried? No. They intentionally and purposely fucked him over. How long before we start seeing that happen to everybody else? We could see it happening with Aleister Black, because he got buried on Raw as well. I don't want to use it as a Ricochet type burial, but he was fed to the Undertaker AJ Styles feud, and that's what we're going to talk about next. WWE is possibly protecting AJ Styles. AJ Styles suffered a separated shoulder after taking a spear from Edge at the Royal Rumble. Styles has appeared on WWE television since, but he hasn't really wrestled. Meltzer says about Styles and his current status in WWE, seems like the company's protecting him. It's not clear if Styles is still nursing an injury, but they have seemingly avoided a lot of contact recently with Styles. He says, and I quote, I don't know if AJ is hurt because if you notice, AJ hasn't done much of anything as of late. He hurt his shoulder, but since he came back, he hasn't worked house shows. In Saudi Arabia, he really did nothing. I mean, if you look back at those 2 matches in the Super Showdown Gauntlet match, he took 1 move from The Undertaker, and it was almost as if The Undertaker was trying his very best to not chokeslam AJ Styles. And the way that he did it, it looked sloppy as hell. He took 1 move from The Undertaker, and he did that match with R-Truth, and he did nothing. He did nothing but dance around and mock R-Truth. So yeah, I think maybe they're protecting him. The other thing is that because he's wrestling The Undertaker at WrestleMania, Vince is making sure that he's booked strong. AJ does not, he doesn't need to wrestle. He could sell this match just based on his verbal ability, honestly, and have his goons do the work. But AJ does need to look strong if he's going to appear and stand the chance against The Undertaker. I wish they would have thought of that before they had him chokeslammed and lose fresh in Saudi Arabia. One chokeslam takes down AJ Styles. Great. Which way do you see me caring about this match? Invested or just not giving a fuck? I'm going to take fucking not giving a fuck for 500, Alex, please. One chokeslam against a fresh, didn't even break a sweat, AJ Styles. Yet I'm supposed to sit here and believe AJ Styles is going to stand the chance against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Saudi Arabia seemed to really illustrate Styles' chances of beating Taker in a singles match. There are several ways that WWE can book AJ Styles upcoming. He's got a no DQ match against Aleister Black at the Elimination Chamber. An appearance from The Undertaker could really help things out as well. All right, so what does that mean for Aleister Black at WrestleMania? Seriously. Aleister Black was advertised. First of all, WWE clickbaited you on Monday Night Raw. They advertised AJ versus Aleister Black. If AJ is being protected and you want to protect AJ from being hurt, if he's not ready fully to go yet, why would you book the match with Aleister Black? You just might as well have booked a match with the fucking OL. The official losers. Had him run through the OL like they usually fucking lose in handicap matches in the same night, because they're garbage. You booked AJ and Aleister Black, a WrestleMania caliber match on Raw. You didn't get it. He had to go through Anderson. He had to go through Gallows. He beat both of them. He beat Anderson with a black mass. He beat Gallows with a DQ, because Gallows didn't adhere to the referee's 5 count. And then after all of that, AJ, with one phenomenal forearm, took down Aleister Black because he had to go through the cronies to get to AJ Styles. But AJ Styles pinned Aleister Black. Yes, he had to go through 2 guys, losers, but 2 guys. One phenomenal forearm, and then he pinned Aleister Black by crossing his arms across his chest, and he pinned Aleister Black the same way The Undertaker pins his opponents after delivering a tombstone. I asked why. Was that really necessary to use Aleister Black in that situation? Now, WWE only did this because they realized, well, this is a great match, and we need another match for the pay-per-view, so let's kind of give the fans this clickbaited garbage. Let's make the handicap match, and then we'll tease them with Styles and Aleister Black. We won't give them the full match, but we'll book the full match on Sunday's pay-per-view, and we'll make a no DQ, being that it's in Philadelphia, and we got to be stereotypical. Because Philadelphia is synonymous with hardcore, and it's going to be a no DQ match, so they can go all out on the no DQ match on Sunday. But if that was the case, why didn't you do the match on Sunday and have Aleister Black get a victory over AJ Styles with an incoming Undertaker interference? Why did you have to beat Aleister Black and ruin his undefeated streak on this show and pretty much portray him as being fed to the AJ Styles and Undertaker feud? I don't get that. I didn't get that mentality. Now, if you're doing that on Monday and you're doing the match on Sunday, I would like to think that being that it's a no DQ match, the OC is going to get involved, and then maybe we see Kane and The Undertaker team up with Black at WrestleMania. Maybe Kane shows up in Philadelphia. Maybe The Undertaker shows up in Philadelphia. Maybe we get a 6-man tag out of it. Maybe we get Black, Kane, and The Undertaker, the Brothers of Destruction, teaming with Black. That's a WrestleMania moment for him in its own right, teaming against AJ Styles and the OC. Maybe you could do AJ Styles and The Undertaker one-on-one the following month at the next pay-per-view. I don't know. Maybe you do Aleister Black and The Undertaker in a handicap match against the OC at WrestleMania. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense why Aleister Black had to lose on Monday. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. The WWE only did it because they wanted to get this match on Sunday, but at the same time, they fed Black to Styles and The Undertaker. They used Black to prove a point to this overall storyline and feud with The Undertaker and Styles. Black didn't deserve that. Black deserves to be at WrestleMania. He doesn't deserve to be fed for a WrestleMania match that I don't think anybody really has any interest in. Disgusting. One of the many illogical reasons why Raw was trash on Monday. Asuka, continuing on here with the shit that did not make sense on Monday Night Raw. Asuka is not injured. She's pulled from a match on Raw with Shayna Baszler for storyline purposes. Now, whatever you heard, she was injured, she hurt her wrist, she hurt her arm, whatever you heard, folks, I'm going to give you the lowdown right now. I don't need a dirt sheet, I don't need Meltzer, I don't need Sap, I don't need anybody. This is exactly what the deal is. You ready? WWE realized that, well, Shayna and Asuka on paper looks like a great match. Now, I don't want to give this match away, so we're going to pull this and we're going to come up with a reason to cancel the match. The fans won't know any difference. We'll come up with a storyline injury for Asuka. She'll be injured. She'll play off that she's injured on TV. We'll plug in Kairi Sane because Kairi Sane can afford a loss. And then Asuka is the only other woman in the Elimination Chamber that actually stands a chance against Shayna Baszler. So instead of doing it on Raw, we'll do this at the Chamber, and it'll be Shayna and Asuka as the final two women in the Elimination Chamber, and Shayna is going to beat Asuka to go on to WrestleMania. Am I close? WWE, am I in the ballpark? You realize that you were jumping the gun on a match that did not need to happen on Monday. You couldn't beat Asuka because she was in the Chamber. So Kairi Sane was plugged in there because she can afford a loss. She's not in the Chamber. And you figured that Asuka could take the loss, not on Raw, but on Sunday against Shayna because Shayna will then go on to WrestleMania. I know that is the reason. Alex McCarthy of TalkSport reported on Twitter that he's been told that Asuka is fine and is not actually hurt. He goes on to add that she was pulled from the match for a storyline purpose. He says on Twitter, and I quote, "I'm hearing Asuka is fine and this injury is storyline." This might actually be good news. Some people online criticized WWE for rushing the booking of Shayna versus Asuka, with fans thinking the two women deserve more time to build a proper story. So WWE did exactly what they did for the reasons that I gave you. Don't look anywhere else for an explanation. That is it. Speaking of Becky Lynch, my goodness, man, another just cringe segment on Monday Night Raw. Awful stuff from Becky Lynch. I put something on social media. Fans and the trolls and the stands and the bots, they all jumped on it because they had nothing else better to do. It's like they wanted so desperately to be a part of Becky Lynch, Rebecca Quinn's life, right? They want to proceed over her wedding with Seth Rollins. They want to be invited to the wedding, you know. But it's amazing how WWE has done everything to suck the genuine feeling from Becky Lynch away from her. This is not the Becky Lynch we fell in love with. I don't give a fuck about the real-life Becky Lynch. I really don't. I don't want to see her being humorous. I don't want to see her being comedic. As far as I'm concerned, she's a female Seth Rollins now. The Becky Lynch that I fell in love with was the Becky Lynch that was bleeding and being a legit fucking badass. Now she's acting like a complete fucking clown. Someone please call Becky Lynch and tell her that Carrot Top needs her props back. Seriously, he's got a comedy show, an unfunny comedy show to do. Meanwhile, he could lend them or continue lending them out to Becky Lynch because she's more funny than Carrot Top could ever be. Honestly, this is downright awful. WWE is doing everything possible to ruin A, Becky Lynch, and B, just make you feel like, man, I can't wait to see Becky Lynch lose this championship. And I know what the storyline is. Becky Lynch is being overly confident. She's being very cocky. She's getting a little bit too big for her own good. And that's going to be her downfall at WrestleMania. Good. And with Becky Lynch acting this way, I don't see why I should be interested in this storyline. Seriously, what is there that is interesting you to this storyline? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Speaking of Shayna, she responded to fan criticism over her match on Raw with Kairi Sane. This past Monday night in Brooklyn, Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler. It was Baszler's Monday Night Raw debut in ring. This is where she took on and beat one half of the women's tag team champions. Are they still a thing? Get rid of them. Kairi Sane. Originally, Baszler was slated to wrestle Asuka, but WWE pulled Asuka for the reasons that I just gave you. On Twitter, Baszler caught a tweet sent out by a fan who was critical of this match on Raw and her in-ring style. She responded by writing the following: "Let them hate. It allows everyone to see who the ignorant are apart from the intelligent." I think Shayna needs to shut up, number one. Nobody's criticizing her. First of all, it's not even Shayna's fault, number one. Okay, you don't need to go on social media every time somebody should fucking practice what I preach, right? You don't need to go on social media and blast the first fucking negative comment that you see. Normally, we are attracted to the negativity. We like proving people wrong, okay? Shayna's not in the wrong. The reason why this match sucked is not because of Shayna Baszler. The reason why the match sucked was A, Vince McMahon ripped up the fucking script and he ruined the show. 2, Vince put Shayna, and it was the same way with Asuka, but Asuka's more over than Kairi Sane. It probably would have ended up being the same way. I don't even know why any of these women were booked with Shayna Baszler in the first place. It should have been fucking Natalya. Should have been Shayna versus Natalya, even though that would have been fucking sleep-inducing garbage as well. Nobody would have worked. Because there's no women on this show that people legitimately fucking care about outside of the big names. You put Shayna Baszler in there with Kairi Sane. It's not Shayna Baszler's fault. It's not the fans' fault for criticizing. It's the WWE's fault. You put Shayna Baszler in there with Kairi Sane. Shayna's a heel. Kairi is a heel. The fans did not know who to cheer. The fans did not give a shit because they did not know who to cheer for. It has nothing to do with Kairi Sane's in-ring ability. It has nothing to do with Shayna Baszler's in-ring ability. It's the fact that WWE put 2 women in the ring together on Raw that are heel. How am I supposed to fucking look at either of these women and give a shit if they're both heel? How is this supposed to get anyone over? It's not gonna get anyone over. And the fact that these 2 women produce some damn good fucking matches in NXT and that's the shit that we get? Come on. We have every fucking right, knowing that you have a history with this woman. This was the finals of the first Mae Young Classic. And you feuded with her in NXT over the title. Why would you blast the fans for being critical of a match that we know was not as good as anything else you guys did in the past, and the fact that you were in there with another fucking heel? Come on now, man. Seriously. Seriously. Stop blaming the fans. What are they going to do? They're going to blame their bosses? That's exactly what it is. WWE fucked Shayna Baszler up, and that match came off very poorly on Raw. WWE abandoned a top storyline on Raw. Lana and Bobby Lashley were set to be married, and then Liv Morgan made her big return. Still waiting for someone to tell me what the gimmick change is or the character change is that Liv Morgan is undertaking. Still yet to see it. She announced her love for Lana, and that resulted in a brawl that ruined the wedding. There you go. Lashley and Lana got married anyway the next week, and there was no commotion. And Rusev disappeared from television after a mixed tag team match because his WWE contract has not been renewed. Liv Morgan got another match against Lana 2 weeks in a row. And then Ruby Riott interfered in the second week. Riott and Liv Morgan are now feuding, and the storyline between Lana and Morgan has been forgotten about entirely. Morgan hyped her WWE return for weeks. She made references to what turned out to be Lana during those promos. Weeks of building Liv Morgan's eventual return to break up Lana and Bobby Lashley's wedding is now something that Vince McMahon might like fans to forget. So exactly what was the reason for all of this, folks? Exactly what I said it was. It was a desperation attempt. It was a desperation attempt to build ratings via tabloid garbage. Because they are inept and they are failures at coming up with captivating, creative pro wrestling storylines. So for everybody that critically fucking praised this storyline like a brain-dead idiot, what happened? You were wrong, and people like me were right again. Garbage. Get it off TV. If that was the reason, you should feel ashamed. If this was the end result of the storyline, it should have never wasted our time for weeks. Weeks at a time watching this shit on Monday nights. Awful. And I was told or read that Bobby Lashley and Rusev and Liv Morgan were all going to come out of this looking like bigger stars in the end. How could they be bigger stars when you took the fucking storyline and abandoned it? Now they're back to being regular old Bobby Lashley, regular old Rusev, and regular old Liv Morgan. Oh joy, I'm sure everybody gives a fuck about Liv Morgan now, right? AEW and NXT. AEW ratings are in. NXT ratings are in. What do you think happened? Did NXT pull out the victory? Of course not. Of course not. That's like saying Charlotte Flair did a good moonsault? She connected with a good moonsault? Negative. Negative. So Saturday Night Revolution was a great show. Dynamite on Wednesday averaged 906,000 viewers, up 4.7% from last week. Even better, the show was up 16.7% in the 18 to 49 demo, averaging 0.35 ratings in the 18 to 49 demo, and finishing 5th on cable for the night in that category. Over on the USA Network, NXT ratings were essentially the exact same as last week. The show averaged 718,000 viewers, up 1,000 from last Wednesday. Oh boy. In the 18 to 49 demo, NXT had a 0.23 rating, identical to last week. NXT finished 20th on cable in that demo. Dynamite topped NXT in all demos except for tying in people over 50. Both shows had a 0.34 in that category. AEW's strongest demo was men 18 to 49, where they almost doubled NXT with a 0.49 rating to NXT's 0.26. Then the Miz and Mrs., which follows NXT, averaged 494,000 viewers and getting back into the top 50 in cable ratings with a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. AEW was great. It wasn't a blowaway show. It wasn't anything on paper that you were going to be like, oh my God, I got to go and rewatch that show. But the second hour killed it. The tag team match with Darby Allin and him going up against Jericho and Guevara, with Moxley being taken out, and the Shield-isms that befell Moxley, the triple power bomb at the end, the Shield fist pump in the way of a middle finger was great. Jake the Snake Roberts showing up and pretty much threatening Cody Rhodes with a new client of his, a client that's going to rise from the ashes. Don't know who that could be. I mentioned on Wednesday that it could be Brody Lee, because I could absolutely see Brody Lee rising from the ashes because he was fucking buried in NXT. That's the first thing I thought about, was when he said that, Brody Lee. Brody Lee was buried in NXT or buried in WWE, and then he'd be lucky to be in NXT. Buried in WWE, and he's going to rise from the ashes somewhere else under now the tutelage of Jake the Snake Roberts. But I can honestly see it also being Lance Archer, because I don't know how good Lance Archer's promo ability is. Lance Archer might fit that Jake the Snake mentality a little bit more than Brody Lee. I'm not sure. It's either one of those two guys. So whoever it is, it doesn't really matter. They're both going to have a big role on AEW television. I'm very excited for it. Jake the Snake. Some people were saying Jake the Snake cut one of the best promos that they've ever seen on Wednesday. I wouldn't say it was one of the best promos I've ever seen, but it was one of the best promos of the year. No question. It's going to definitely be at the end of the year one of the best promos of the wrestling year at the end of 2020. Jake still got it. He's a childhood hero. Or he's a big part of my childhood. When you look at old school WWF, you immediately think of Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the best promo guys in the history of this industry. He is one of the best villains, one of the best bad guys ever to do it. Memorable shit from Jake the Snake, honestly. And the fact that he is in AEW doing this, and we're going to see Jake the Snake cut promos like that on weekly television, sign me up, man. That is a great thing. The best thing about this is it makes me think, look at AEW taking old WWE legends. Look at AEW taking old WWE legends and using them to the best of their ability. They're not taking old WWE legends and putting them on the show and putting them in title matches and having them win championships, taking spots away from young talent. They're bringing in WWE legends that want work, that want to influence the younger guys, that want to be on TV and help the company grow. They don't want the spotlight. They want to help the younger guys get the spotlight. That's the big difference between AEW and WWE. If this was WWE, they'd be pushing a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy to the main event, taking a top spot from somebody at WrestleMania, winning championships when they should not be on TV at all. I love it. This was fucking incredible. Jake the Snake's promo was incredible on Wednesday night. Awesome stuff. NXT had 2 steel cage matches, a fantastic sit-down promo with Johnny Gargano and Mauro Ranallo, and still could not muster up a rating at all on Wednesday night. Sorry to say, AEW is just on fire right now. They are killing it, and I do not expect NXT to beat AEW anytime soon. It's just the way it's going to be. Got to suck it up. Not saying that NXT is a bad show, but NXT right now, in comparison to what AEW has been doing, AEW for the past several weeks has been putting on much better shows than NXT. Just got to give them their credit. Stop shitting on NXT. Stop shitting on AEW. You're going to like what you like. But the reality of the situation, this is coming from somebody who is very neutral. AEW has been putting on better shows. NXT is the better brand, but AEW has been putting on better shows. Much more interesting, investing shows, exciting shows, unpredictability. They just got everything going with them. And it's tough to not cheer for them. Coming out of Revolution, I'm excited for what happens going into Double or Nothing. It's going to be great. First of all, not even Double or Nothing. We're going to go into Blood and Guts. We got to get to March 25th first in New Jersey. War Games. Should be awesome. We got the rules coming on that next week. MJF. We'll talk about MJF because I wanted to bring my opinion to you guys on this. Now, it was reported in the New York Post and it was reported by TMZ that MJF flipped off a 7-year-old boy over the weekend at a meet and greet in Chicago before Revolution at the C2E2 convention. The father was not happy about it. Now, MJF did not break character. He never breaks character. The kid got exactly what he sees on television with MJF. This is the case for any appearance or interview by MJF, and most fans realize that. Go and watch his interview with Chris Van Vliet. The guy is ordering room service. The guy is throwing fucking food at him. It's what MJF does. I've been shit on by MJF twice, and I found it to be hilarious. Now, the first time he shit on me was... Actually, he didn't shit on me when I interviewed him. I interviewed him during All In Weekend. We were guaranteed two interviews because we were on Podcast Row for All In Weekend. MJF was one of them. I said, absolutely. And I said absolutely to MJF because I didn't really know he was going to be where he is today. But I wanted MJF because he was going to be on the House of Glory show the following month in September. And he was fighting Cashflow Ken Broadway. I asked him about Hog. I asked him about fighting Cashflow Ken Broadway at the show at the Elks Lodge in Queens. He mentioned that he hates Brian XL. He hates what HOG stands for. It was a great interview. Then we had Matt Stryker come over and interrupt the interview, and he was, poking fun at MJF. It was just a great thing. I got it all on my phone. It was a great scene. I was very happy to be in the middle of that. I was happy to be part of that. MJF then, at that same show, see me sitting at commentary. I was there taking my notes, just drinking my coffee, getting ready, getting in the zone, getting in the mentality to call some matches for the night. He walks over, and Hodge is, I believe, sitting next to me. And MJF comes over to me and says, so I heard your review on All In, and I heard that you didn't like my match. What exactly didn't you like about it? So I gave him my opinion there. And he didn't say anything. He heard me out. And then he proceeded to say, well, your podcast sucks. And then he did this to me. And I walked away. He walked away. I left. I was pleased to get a middle finger from MJF. Then I'm sitting next to him at the Double or Nothing press conference. He was sitting next to me. I got his fucking disguise in my closet because he was sitting right next to me. And he's talking shit to me, sitting next to me because he remembered who I was. And I'm laughing. And obviously, I knew in that spot, I wasn't supposed to yell out, oh, MJF is here, MJF is here. I knew he was disguised and he was going to be a part of the thing. So I played it very well. I played it very cool. And I laughed. And I said, thanks, man. I really appreciate the kind words, And then he got kicked out of the venue because he wasn't supposed to be at StarCast because he had something going on with Conrad. Point is, I know the character of MJF. Now, MJF did not break character with this kid. Gave the kid the middle finger, took the picture, signed the autograph, whatever. He was MJF to this little kid. He called somebody. I don't know where it was. It might have been before the cruise. It might have been somewhere around that time frame. He said something along the lines of, I think it was on the cruise. Someone in a wheelchair went up to him and wanted an autograph. They were there doing autograph signings on the cruise during down period. Guy walks up, he rolls up in a wheelchair. MJF says to the guy sitting in the wheelchair, hey man, I'm going to do something that you wish you could do. Stands up, and takes a picture with him, standing up. He said, hey man, I'm going to do something that you wish you could do. And that's stand up. How fucked up is that? That is great. That is absolutely fucking great. So, regardless of all that, the man plays the character. The man stays in character. The man knows what needs to be done. Okay? He's going to be a dick on TV. You see him out. You could see him shopping at fucking Stop and Shop in Long Island. He's going to be that way. You're going to go up to him. He's probably going to be like how he is on TV. That's what I love. I seen Matt Hardy doing the broken thing when it was at the height of its popularity. He didn't break gimmick or character once at all. He was Matt Hardy. He was Matt Hardy. He wanted to be that everywhere he went. Now, the dad reached out to Cody Rhodes in this instance, reached out to Matt Jackson to express his dissatisfaction with a heel being a heel. He said, I tried to laugh it off knowing he's just in character, and Joey Janela was great helping to calm my son down, but it really upset him. I know that's his gimmick, but he's only 7 and don't understand. His eyes would tear up and he didn't too far flipping him off. Now there's a video and people are making memes to make fun of it, and I don't like that as a parent. I hope you guys can understand and tell him to calm his antics down in front of kids. He continued, I'm in the process of taking those videos down since they were taken without our knowledge, and I hope better judgment is made in the future. Cry me a fucking river, Dad. In a now deleted tweet, Cody offered to make it up to this father and son at a future event, but cautioned that MJF, and cautioned the guy, his father, the MJF that they see is the MJF that they see on TV. It's the same person that you'll be getting at the meet and greet. Cody wrote in a deleted tweet now, hey Tom, I'll make it up to you near any of the cities we are visiting soon. Disclaimer, if you have a meet and greet or inquire media-wise for MJF, you'll get MJF. Talent and freedom of expression, so please don't think anyone is going to act any different than they do on TV. The video gone viral was picked up by TMZ. They reached out to him for a statement, and he said, fuck them kids, is what MJF said. Okay. All I'm going to say is this. If that was my son, if that was my 7-year-old son, I would have laughed my ass off. First of all, if that was my 7-year-old son, I would have schooled him already on what was going on. Clearly, you're a fan of All Elite Wrestling. Clearly, you're watching the shows with your son at home. Clearly, it is your job to tell your son and knowledge your son and teach your son about who MJF is and what MJF does. This guy went to this signing and it pretended it came off as if he didn't know what All Elite Wrestling was. It came off as if he didn't know who MJF was, that he had no recollection of what MJF does. Seems like he just showed up at a signing, at a meet and greet at this convention. Oh, look, a pro wrestler. Son, do you want to go get an autograph for the picture from said pro wrestler? I have no idea who this said pro wrestler is, but the line is fucking long, so he must be popular. That's the vibe that I get. Meanwhile, this father wants to fucking bitch, cry, moan, and complain and act like a fucking pussy on social media because his son started crying in front of MJF because MJF gave him the fucking middle finger. MJF has been calling fat guys slobs. MJF has been fucking making fun of the handicap. MJF has been making fun of these fucking heifers that you see on the line that are female pro wrestling fans that want to go up and give him a hug, and he's all fucking disgusted by it. If that was my son, I would have gladly taken the picture and laughed at the fact that MJF gave the middle finger to my son. I would have taken the picture myself. I would have schooled my son going up to MJF. Son, this guy's a dick, so expect the worst. If he gives you the finger, if he says anything nasty to you, then don't get upset. This is just him in character, playing his character. He plays a character on TV. He's a good guy, but he's a bad guy on TV, and he takes that bad guy TV persona and plays that bad guy in real life so that you believe the gimmick. He wants you to believe that this is really him. MJF is not acting this way in front of his girlfriend. He's not acting this way in front of his parents. Okay? This was the father's job, and the father failed. The father comes off like a fucking idiot looking for social media clout. He looks like these fucking SJW clowns that you see on social media. Start teaching your talent to do the right thing in front of kids. Motherfucker, if I'm Cody, if I'm Tony, if I'm anybody in AEW, I'm telling NJF, man, you're a fucking awesome fucking character on TV. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let up. Keep doing what you're doing, no matter who it is in front of. I don't give a shit what your opinion is on this. It is your job to teach the fucking kid what you are walking into. You watch the weekly shows with him, you follow all the fucking updates and shit on AEW, then you should teach your fucking kid who MJF is, okay? Simple. I would have taught my kid to fucking kick him in the kneecap or something. You know? If he gets out of line with you, you know, give him the finger back. It's okay. I'm not going to ground you. Stop being pussies, please. Not everything you see is the end of the fucking world. It's pro wrestling. It is pro wrestling. Stop. Just fucking stop it. WWE is blocking events. Speaking of signings, there's no AEW effect, huh? There's no AEW effect. WWE is blocking events from booking AEW stars. Don't worry. This is not a war. And this is not the AEW effect, folks. But WWE is known to be petty, but this may be taking petty a little bit too far. In the latest report that has come out on Wrestling Observer, WWE is right now blocking talents from, or blocking events from booking AEW stars at the same event. Now, if there's WWE stars, they don't want that event to book AEW stars, to have AEW stars and WWE stars on the same event. For example, there is an event this weekend in New York called The Big Event. And Meltzer reported this, that WWE, Vince, and everybody in Stamford have told organizers that they are banned from booking AEW talent there too, along with WWE talent. I believe Braun Strowman is going to be there at Big Event. I'm not really sure. That's the last thing that I believe I've seen. So Meltzer said this. There's this event called Big Event in New York on Saturday, and Matt Hardy was booked on the convention. Some WWE guys were booked as well. The convention guys were basically told that you cannot book anyone from AEW. That's one of the rules now. If you book a WWE guy anywhere, you know, baseball games or autograph signings, Wizard World, that nobody from AEW is allowed. That's just their rule. They could book whoever the fuck they want. That just means that they're not getting WWE talent. WWE. So you mean to tell me WWE is willing to lend out their talent to a non-WWE organized event, and then they have the right to say you can't book any AEW talent on said show? So what do you think the promoters are going to do? The promoters are going to listen to WWE because the promoters are going to listen to WWE because their talent is going to bring in more people to the event. More people equals more money. More people equals more notoriety for next year's show. So WWE now wants to start booking WWE talent on non-WWE sanctioned events, and then they want to start ordering people around to not book AEW stars? These organizers can book AEW stars to their heart's content. That just means that they don't have to book WWE stars. But WWE is just trying every which way to be petty and just suppress AEW. But there's no AEW effect, folks. There's no AEW effect, you say. This is the cherry on top of the cherry on top of the cherry on top of the shit sundae called the AEW effect. And imagine how petty they are about Matt Hardy leaving the WWE. Well, I don't know, Vince. Maybe you should have booked him better, and maybe he would have stayed. How about that? Now you want to be petty because he wanted to leave for his own volition because you weren't going to do anything creatively with him. If you booked him creatively the way he wanted for 3 years and let him do his shit for the 3 years he was there, for the 2 years that he sat waiting for Jeff to get better, maybe he would have stayed. Now you want to fucking throw shade at Matt and you want to tell these organizers who and who they can't book? Oh my God, man. WWE fucking suck. Who wants to work for these people, man? They are fucking garbage people. My God. And these promoters, like I said, they will listen to the WWE because if they are in with WWE and they are allowed to get a talent here or a talent there, again, it's only going to benefit their business, and they will listen to WWE and tell Tony, listen, man, I can't book your talent because we're going with the WWE guys. It's just better for business. Political bullshit, man. This is why the wrestling business blows. It's all a political agenda. Sucks. Finally, guys, 2 more stories here. Quickly, Lance Archer did not debut on Dynamite, even after being advertised. Wrestling Observer and Dave Meltzer revealed the reason behind Archer's absence. Meltzer noted the creative change was made during the week, and they opted against having Archer on the show. He was authorized, or in theory, he was supposed to be there. AEW wants to space their debuts out as much as possible, with Matt Hardy and Brody Lee potentially signing, and Jake Roberts debuting on the show. It made sense to space out the big moments and the big debuts. AEW has 3 months until their next pay-per-view, which is May 23rd. Double or Nothing, so they have time, plenty of time to debut their new stars and build them up appropriately. Very simple fucking dynamics there. You don't want to overload debuts. You want to space them out, and you want to make people think, and you want to intrigue people. You want to get people excited. You want to have that unpredictability factor. It's good. I like it. Lance Archer, Brody Lee, Matt Hardy, they're all going to come. They're all going to come to AEW. You just got to do it right. There is no rush at all. And Kenny Omega and Nick Jackson were not on Dynamite this week. There's a reason for that. This was also reported in the Observer. Meltzer said that Omega is off nursing a broken finger. I think Fightful, I reported on Wednesday, Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp said that Omega possibly has a broken hand, but they were not able to confirm that at all. Meltzer says that Omega has a broken finger due to the tag team match on Saturday night. And Nick Jackson, why he wasn't there in that segment on Dynamite is because Nick Jackson is at home awaiting the birth of his third child. Omega suffered the injury during his tag team match with the Bucks at Revolution, teaming with Adam Hangman Page, which people are calling the best tag team match of the decade, best tag team match of all time, depending on who you talk to. It was not noted how he suffered the injury, but Meltzer mentioned he should be able to compete with a cast. It was also noted that Jackson would be off television until his child was born, and likely sometime after that. So there you have it. That's probably the reason why the Young Bucks did not win the tag team championships either at that moment when everybody expected them to do so. So there you go. Why Omega and Nick Jackson were not on Dynamite, and ultimately why the Young Bucks did not win the tag team titles at Revolution from Omega and Page. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know what you think down below. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to support the podcast, Patreon is the way. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Shout out to my boys over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT for 20% off and free shipping. And if you missed any of my other videos that you might have missed on the channel, everything you need is linked down below in the description of this very video. More news on WrestleMania coming tomorrow. I got Goldberg news. Fans are upset at Goldberg. He says the fans being upset at him are a minority. Got the full story on Matt Hardy becoming broken. Paul Heyman and his role. He's playing more than one role at WrestleMania. What is he working on? What is he hands-on with going into WrestleMania? Plans for Daniel Bryan. Original plans for The Fiend vs. Goldberg, and why WWE changed their mind last minute. More updated plans on Kevin Owens for WrestleMania, and Michelle McCool not happy with the WWE, which gets The Undertaker out of his cave to tweet on social media that he is now shooting on the WWE. Awesome stuff there. We'll go over all of that on the show for Saturday. Guys, thank you so much. Again, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here tonight for Smackdown on Fox. See you guys then.